Welcome to the StockMentor.com studios here in the beautiful Black Hills of South Dakota. I'm your stock mentor, Brian Johnson, and I'm making professional trading simple. And here is the weekend update. We're going to go over the indices. We'll talk a little bit about some new plays I've got for you to watch this week. And the question will be, where are we going this week? Why? Because it is options expiration week. For those of you that don't know, the options, the contracts themselves, expire at the end of this week, and there's always a lot of volatility. I shouldn't say always, but generally there's a lot of volatility during this week, which is good and bad. It's good because at least we see the markets move somewhere, which gives us an opportunity to get in and play some stocks, some indices, and make some money at it instead of a lot of this sideways chop action that we've been seeing over the past few weeks. And it's bad because it's very volatile. It can change direction at any time. You certainly, well, I shouldn't say certainly, but you want to be very careful holding overnight. You'll go to bed one night and you'll be up 10 points. The next morning you'll wake up and you're down 2. There's just a lot of volatility generally during this week. So we need to be very, very careful about our plays. I usually like to drop my position size during this week, and a lot of times don't like to hold overnight. Take a lot of day trades and trade as such for the week. Now there are people that are of course stuck. Some of them have to hold overnight for one reason or another. You'll have to be just very careful about your entries and make sure you've got stops on and be ready the next morning for any changes. So let's dive into it. Here is the NDX. We are looking at the NASDAQ here, and you can see the little channel that it's created over the last 3 days, 4 days or so. Last week we had lower volume on the weekly chart, but that was because we missed a day. So we had Monday off. It was only Tuesday through Friday, so there was some lower volume there, but remember that we did lose a day. The NASDAQ, though, as we're looking at here, no reason to think that we can't go a little bit higher. It's still obeying all the rules. We're doing exactly what we need to do. We're in an uptrend. What we will be watching, though, is for it to fall out of this channel. And that would be a move to the downside, and I would say below the 20 MA on the 60-minute chart. So for those that like to play the Qs, you want to be very careful, want to watch this as well. But if we can get a little move to the downside here, we want it to break below this 20 MA and move on down. The first probably level would be right about 1675. If we can get down and below that, we could revisit this 1660 level, and then we'll see where the markets take us from there. On the daily, well, it's going to move right to the weekly. On the weekly, I'm going to zoom this in just a little bit and show you what we have been watching for quite a while here. Called for a touch of this quite a few weeks ago, back once we broke this area here, so would not be surprised to see us move up and touch this 200. Sure enough, that's what we've seen now. As you can see here, we are a high of 1689. The 200 week moving average is 1693. So we got 4 points difference really between the 200 moving average and the weekly chart. Not uncommon to see it pull back a little bit early as people front run this and try to get ahead of the short players that are trying to wait for the exact right point. They're waiting for it to they're waiting to short it at 1693. Some of them will front run that and try to get ahead of that. We will wait and see what we get this next week. Notice how the volume was lower, but remember we had Monday off. With Monday in there, we probably end up around this area, maybe even a little bit higher. So very, very curious to watch this week. Now remember, this is a weekly chart. So if we start up here come Monday morning, it's really, yeah, okay, it's above the 200. We could see some more strength, but I mean, who knows where it's going to run. Just simply because it's a weekly chart, we could come all the way back down by the end of the week. So let's watch this starting Monday. SPX, same type of formation. We've got this little channel. It's not quite as clean as the NASDAQ is, but still a channel nonetheless, and still in an uptrend. So we need to be neutral to slightly bullish going into the week. Once again, watch the volatility. We are looking for a break below this 1038. I'm going to call it the 1036 level. I saw quite a bit of confluence of support at 1036 on Friday and was calling that to my subscribers. That was a level we needed to break below to see maybe any shot that the bears would, be able to pull this thing down. But at this point, every time it comes down like it has here, This one just rolled right back over, moved right back up. So we'll watch it next week, early next week. Remember, there should be some pretty big volatility rolling into the markets, and I would not be surprised to see the volume pick up now that everybody's back and it's September. Let's see if we get a little bit more action next week. Here on a daily, you can see what we've been watching. I went ahead and changed a few things. Let me just bring this into a 4-month. Let's take a good look at this here. Right here, as you can see, we have channel lines drawn. I went ahead and changed my channel lines ever so slightly this week, and you can see what we're looking at now. Still in an uptrend, but we're right up to a resistance area here. So we want to be watching once again this very closely. I really want to see a break of Friday's lows. That would be a good start for the bears. If they could get below 1036, that'd be a really good start for the bears. Let's see if they can do it early next week and really make this a volatile options expiration week. Okay, so let's move on to the next one. Oh, one quick note. I've been posting my videos on YouTube, and on YouTube, because I do a lot of picks, I can't get through it in 10 minutes. So for those of you that are coming over from YouTube and watching this, go ahead and obviously feel free to skip ahead. There's nothing really new in the first 10 minutes. I've just cut it down so it'll fit on YouTube. So you can just go ahead and use the little slider bar, should be down towards the bottom of your screen there, and just move ahead 10 minutes to get right to the picks. So for those of you coming over from YouTube, appreciate you coming over. Hope you enjoy the picks. Hope they help you this week. Hope you make some money off of it. SPX on a weekly, we are closing in. Look at this rising wedge we're in, though, on the weekly. It really does make a very pretty formation. The 50% fib line on the SPX weekly is 1053.54. If we continue to move up, this is the next spot I'm watching, is this 1055 area. A break above that, and that will probably really scare the bears again, and we'll see more covering. And no reason to think we couldn't do it at this time. So be watching that closely over the next week. Is this break up and over the 1050, then the 1055 area? And I think we'll see more bears cover, and that should push this thing even higher. And if it gets up here, if it moves up on Monday, no reason to think we can't reach this 1055 area. That's what the NASDAQ's been doing, and it's typically a leading indicator. And the NASDAQ has already touched its 50% fib line on the weekly. Let's just go ahead and skip down to the Qs since we're here. And let's take a look at what the Qs now. The Qs are acting a little bit different on the weekly. Look here. Now we were looking at the weekly on the NASDAQ, but look how the Qs, which are supposed to basically mirror the NASDAQ, are already up and over their 200. 4135 is the 200-day or 200-week moving average, and we're up over that. Got to close above that, actually. That's actually very bullish to see that. Now, whether we crash or we get confirmation this next week has yet to be seen, but you can see this last week we got up and over this trend line, which was resistance. This previous orange line you see here, which is resistance, and the 200, which was obviously should have been really strong resistance. Now the Qs and the NASDAQ are showing a little bit of a divergence, so keep that in mind as we push forward. Though I wouldn't give a bias to one or the other. The NASDAQ is up to the 200, while the Qs are up and over. It's kind of here or there. Got to give both a little bit of credit both ways. On the VIX, seeing here that it is out of a channel, comes back down, double bottoms here, and continues to move up. So we want to see the VIX. If we want to see bearish behavior, we have to see the VIX start to move its way up. And let's take a look at it on a weekly and show you a little bit better shot of what we're taking a peek at here. And see how on the weekly we've finally kind of fallen out of this wedge we were in, this falling wedge, which was a bullish formation. Now, we've managed to come below the 200, pull it back up at the end of the week. We're starting to see a little bit of a rollover here in the MACD, but nothing that really makes me think one way or the other. The histogram is up over the zero line, but still nothing here that's real convincing from a fear standpoint. We needed to get up and over the 20 and then really up and over 30 to see a lot of fear, I believe, return to the markets. That should push the markets down and would start to be very, very bearish for the markets. Moving on, AFFY is one of the